Alright, we got some box unveiling going on here. Got this one in from Amazon. And I've got, oh, got some wicked lighting tonight. Kind of weird. Anyway, I got 5 of these guys. They may look kind of strange, but hopefully they're going to be the right size to go around the outside of the gas cap, which of course it's 30 years old and its existing gasket is shot. I put a temporary gasket on there that's I think it's somewhat affected, but this should fully fix it. And then we got these guys, which of course are the tailpipe kits. I ordered the exact same thing I did last time. And last time I of course got one of these things, and I was like, well, you know, I've got to do the other side, so I'll order another one. And I got 2, so I'll take 2 instead of 1 when I was expecting 1. That's one in my favor right there. Now up there we got the other box. And despite the fact that it says empty on it, it is not empty. I got this thing from, let's see if you can see that somewhere in there. Pierside Parts Unlimited. As far as I know, they're the only people you can get this thing from. And it is heater hose. And you're like, hey, it's heater hose. Whoa, whoop-de freaking do. No, it is whoop-de do. This is stainless steel. Heavy duty. It's not the cheap stuff. Oh! Sorry, my back's not feeling too good today. I'm going to be grunting and moaning probably. But anyway, it's a lot stronger than that stuff over there. And much more expensive. This is not something that you dive into lightly here. I forget what I paid for this. 25 bucks a pop. It's close to $50. And I got 2 of them anyway. There's that one. And we got this one. But all that stuff needs to go in there. And I'm also going to get the oil cooler adjusted, which means the fan shroud's got to come out. Get the fan shroud out means the deck lid's got to come off, so I've got an awful lot of work to do on that. And there it is, the deck lid is off. Alright, but I wish they went on that easy. Alright, got the crossbar out of the way. Get a little bit closer here. Get some of this stuff up position here. That's good. Alright, oil lines are out. Some of the electrical has been removed. I got to get the fuel line loosened up and the alternator strap out of there. Alright, a little bit closer. Got this piece of cooling tin out because I got to get down there and get that done down there. And get that manifold, sorry, not manifold, but the gasket popped in. And I don't think I've got too much more to go other than this guy right here. I got to get the tube out, which I've got tied in with a little clamp in the back, and I think it'll be ready to go. And there it is, ready for the final modifications. There's the old fan shroud, back of the fan shroud. And you can pretty easily see where the air is going through. Right in here I got a fair amount of buildup already, and I don't even have that many miles on this thing. Anyway, I also had to take out the tower. The little stand right here, alternator stand, had to come out. Wasn't going to happen if I didn't get rid of that. But the top seam looks pretty good. Alright, I think I'm going to go to Home Depot and get one more of these things. I'm going to make another minor modification. Try and get this thing tilted in a little tiny bit. And take it tilted in this direction just a tiny bit. You know, I'm getting too much airflow down here. I want to get some airflow up at the top. I think I can get that if I just tilt it a little bit. But I'm not going to be able to do that with this guy right here. I think we're going to have to, got to re-drill the holes, and I think the position is too tight to these holes to make it work. So I thought I'd show you what one of these mounts looks like before I actually chop it up. But anyway, that's what they look like over there. So So I got one like this, one like this. It'll goes in something like that. But this is a full-blown deck tie, so I got to chop this thing a little bit, bore some holes in it. So there it is. I got it back in again, and of course we got our throttle cable tube plugged in. I got a little binder on the back of it. I got that pushed up and screwed into place. Let's see, I've got to work on these two right here. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. That holds my fuse block in place, and I've got my fuse block held in place with these little guys. I think these are actually a wood screw that I've modified, and I actually need a sheet metal screw. Those things, they're not really binding in tight enough, and I don't trust it. Of course, I got the oil cooler. It's down. I moved it a 1/4 inch down on this side, and I moved the top edge about 1/8 of an inch this direction toward the back of the car. Get a little bit better airflow, I hope, toward the back edge there. But that looks like that's pretty good. Check the bolts across the seam. They're all good. About the only problem I've had is, of course, getting the fan shroud back in, because it has a tendency to want to either go on the outside of these tins or the inside of these tins, and I don't know how many times I had to reposition it, probably 4 times. But eventually it dropped in. I've run my hand around the inside and the outside of it, so I know that the entire fan shroud is inside everything down that direction. And of course, I pulled this thing off. It's probably about the 4th time I've taken the fan shroud off. I mean, I don't have all those on video, but at some point you realize, yeah, this gasket is shot, so I had to make a new gasket. You see that little white line? That's a homemade gasket. Could have swore I had an extra gasket kit laying around, but I didn't. Alright, so I wasn't real sure what I was going to do for these guys right here, but I went out and got a little box of sheet metal screws, number 10, and some lock washers to go with them. And I think I'm going to have to drill a slightly larger hole in my fuse blocks in order to get these things to work. But I think they will lock in there a little bit more solidly, because both of those screws were a little bit loose. One of them was really loose, and that's just not good. Alright, fuse block is on. It's tightened up. Looks pretty good. Hang in there. It's good and solid. Time to get these, get the oil lines lined up in here, and see how that works. Check that out. Look how much extra space I got in there. That's nice. I can actually get this thing on and off without going nuts or bending anything. Let's see if I can figure out which way this other guy goes. How did I have this thing set up? Yeah, this is much better. Much better. Oh, come here. Alright, that's not bad. Get everything in there. Okay, the oil hoses are back in. Might have to put some kind of a tie on this guy right here. These things are going to rub against each other. All my anodizing is going to be gone in short order if I don't do something about that. That's pretty good. Got this guy back in place. Incidentally, if none of you actually saw this before, typically your condenser doesn't have 2 wires, so I'm not a condenser guy. Got a Protronix in there. Check it out. It's the igniter, and I bought that back in like 1985, and it's still going. So you go to the Samba. Some people gripe, some people like them. I've had good experience. The one in my 74 behind me is from about the same time, 85, 86, something like that, and it too never failed. You know, so pretty solid little device. Okay, electricals are all fired up. Got power, tack, plus and minus to the Protronix. Everybody across there. Power, reverse light, gauges, more gauges, fuses, of course. Eventually I got to get my license plate light hooked up. I wasn't sure where that hooked in, but it's back over here somewhere. Alright, I've got those solid spacers in the crossbar, so I figured out what the heck while I was adjusting things, I may as well get rid of some of that space. And let's see how much we got here. It's not a lot, but we can get rid of some of that anyway. Let's do that. And this one, maybe a little bit. Get that one touched up. I'm gonna get those guys tightened up. Alright, let's try another notch. Okay. Another little notch. Alright, I think that's good. I'm going to tighten all that stuff. Got a little dinner in me. Come back out. Got the alternator hooked up. Ready to dive into that clamp down there. So that's what's left of it. And it was pretty well shot, and it was blowing exhaust out there. It wasn't totally going like the other side did, but yeah, it was making some noise. It needed to be changed. And there's our nice shiny new gasket assembly. It's time to start working on the heater duct and that last piece of cooling tin. And well, the ends of these things are kind of a jaggedy mess, as you can see right there. So it's going to take a little bit of dremeling to get these things cleaned up. See what happens. Yeah, I gotta tell you, you know, for a little skinny piece of metal, this stuff is really hard. Wow, it took a long time to get all the burrs off the end. And, you know, as far as getting it in there, I have no idea. It is tough. It is really tough. It doesn't want to bend. It doesn't want to dent. Alright, there's that side. Tight. There's that side. This one was, boy, is this one a pain. It still doesn't fit on there real close back in there. It's a little bit dark. Got major clouds today. A little bit of drizzle coming down. And I could not get it into place with my gasket in on that side. Just could not slide it around. Got my gasket on this side though. So I had to attach the pipes here and here. I had to attach them at the bottom. Take the piece of sheet metal, slide that over the top. When it got to a certain point, I had to pull this sender. Of course, undo all the wiring, pull the sender, get that thing out of the way. Eventually I had to pull a couple of my spark plug wires, get that out of the way. And then I had to battle my way down. Because this stuff is ungodly hard. It just doesn't want to bend. Which is nice. That's kind of what the point is that it just doesn't tear up. I mean, look at that. That would crush that aluminum crap. You know, and it's just freaking rock hard. Hopefully it doesn't vibrate and make noise, because that's not what we're into. Well, let's see if I've got everything done that I need to do in order to test it for leakage and electronic crossovers and other bits of stupidity that I may have forgotten. All the bolts and stuff are back in the car. I don't see any bolts laying around. So everything's in, everything's tightened. I'm going to have to play around with the throttle cable. I know I've got the throttle a little bit too tight, so that's the way it goes anyway. Of course, given the drizzle and the wife's car being in the way, test drive's going to have to wait until she's out of here tomorrow, but that's okay. You'll get the video all in one big hit. Alright, last little tidbit. The alternator belt, you know? Alright, so I got that on. Yeah, it's noticeably quieter on this side than it was. I got to work on the gas pedal. This is, I got a little bit too much tension on the pedal. It doesn't go back to zero. Sweet, man, I got some heat. I like that. Alright, got any oil leaks? Dry, super dry. I might have a problem up there. But they could be leftover too. I don't know, let's try it off, see what's up. find it hard to believe that that one would leak. Come on, settle down. There you go. That looks pretty good. Ooh, that sounds a lot nicer than it did. That was one shoddy friggin' gasket that was down there. Alright, so there it is, one of my new gaskets for the gas cap. And that's my double layer of gaskets on there right now. It's the old one and my temporary new one. So let's pop that stuff off and see what happens. Alright, so there's our side-by-side comparison. This guy's got a just cracked and a whole bunch of little whatevers, and it's kind of hard. Well, not totally hard, but it's definitely not too good. And then you overlay them directly. Pretty close. Alright, I think it fits a little tiny bit loose, but I think when you pin it in there, I think it's going to be okay. Let's check it out. Okay, that's good. Okay, I just went through the full throttle procedure, and you know, when I was working on setting these things up and you know, tightening up the play in the bar, it changed things ever so slightly. So I had some angle issues with the drop bar here and the drop bar, so I've been spending some time getting the drop bars lined up, and you know, they should have the same angle, otherwise the throttles don't open simultaneously and to the same amount. And then of course we had to play around with the attachment point for that guy right there, and everything seems to be doing well. I haven't really taken it out for a monster test drive. Still got to see what's going on there. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why it's doing that. Anyway, maybe I'll put the wrench on those and see if I can't tighten them up a tiny bit more. See if that works. But I gotta get the deck lid on so I take it out for a ride. Alrighty, we got the deck lid back on. And as far as the electricals go, I finally figured out how to hook the license plate light back up. So I got some of it attached back over here, and then I got my daughter to cram her hand in there because it's a little bit smaller than mine, and she was able to get it to work. Now all I got to do is get my wife's car out of the way, and I think we can take it for a legitimate drive. Okay, it's test drive time.
Did you really say Becky can have half your ice cream cake?
Yeah, she can have it. It's okay. And we got the power. We're up and running. I'm telling you, there's nowhere near as much noise coming in the driver's side as there was. Ah, nice. How's the idle? Is the idle settling down like it's supposed to? It is. Good. More pressure. So I didn't break any electricals. Got one other thing I wanted to check. Yeah, let's go find a place to check. This big wide street over here. Just gonna pull off, check my lights, make sure I've got some safety checks going here. Alright. Okay, got dash light, good. Alright, let me check the outside stuff here real quick. got running light, got running light. Check it out, license plate light. Nice. Okay, we got some lights over there, we got light over here. Oh, I just cranked it up, and there's a little bit of light out today. Figured there'd be enough so I could see things like how this guy's attaching. And it seems to be pretty far down on there. It's going to start getting hot pretty soon. I can feel a little bit of air puffing out around this, but not like it was. So this clamp could get a little bit tighter than it is. I certainly don't hear any noise coming out. I can feel a little bit of puffing. Let's check the other side. I think this could be down a little bit tighter. That's not bad. And again, I can feel puffing. I actually can feel a fair amount of puffing coming out. These gaskets, you know, they just don't fit tight enough. And of course, up in here, I tell you, I still think I'm getting a little tiny bit of an oil leak out of this guy right there. It seems reasonably quiet. It doesn't really want to go down any further. My gasket's not leaking, that's nice. Got my Teflon tape in over here. That's not leaking. But I wanted to do a better test drive. I need to do a test drive where I'm not actually holding the camera. So I thought I'd do something like put a couple rubber bands around the camera and mount it to the headrest. So there is the rubber band. I'm going to attempt to shove this camera in there. Beautiful.